Hey, babe, we're live.
We're live? Cool. Hi. Get ready to do a radio show.
We're about to go live on 1190. Ben's Ask the Expert.
And Ben is the expert. Hello. Listen, 1190, Ask the Experts.
817-787-1190.
Yep.
All right. Guess you can tell how many people we have on there, too. It might tell you.
Yeah, it says views, I think.
Just count down. We're not going to hear the
Guess we're into
music.
news.
Yeah, something like that. I can't hear anything.
3 minutes?
Cool.
3 minutes to go.
Y'all probably won't hear anything right now.
Yeah, I know.
This is the fun time where you're just waiting.
Yeah.
It's weird. All the suspense.
You feel good?
Yeah, I feel good.
Good.
I always feel good when I'm about to go on air.
Yeah.
Just a little view of the studio here.
There it is.
Left. Okay, left.
You got your questions ready, your info ready.
We are ready to go.
You are set. Loving it.
I watched Colors last night.
Colors?
You ever seen the movie?
No.
1988.
I've never seen it.
It's Sean Penn and Robert Duvall.
Okay.
They're cops in South Central LA.
Nice.
Yeah, it's one of the first, kind of gang movies.
Dang, okay, maybe I need to watch it. Right now I'm deep into Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's bad. I was actually dreaming of it last night.
We're deep into House of Cards.
Oh, House of Cards is amazing. Oh my gosh, House of Cards is amazing.
Don't say anything, we're only in season 3.
I know, that's why I didn't.
1 minute.
There's a little comment section down there. People can post comments.
Oh yeah, you can encourage
On the
them to
fly.
ask questions online.
I did. I edited your post to add the phone number
Wonderful.
so that if people see this on Atlas Plumbing, they can call
Cool.
in.
Cool. We're ready.
And I checked in through my Facebook page and told people to look at this, Atlas Plumbing,
Okay.
with my,
Well, then people would see that.
Absolutely, they will.
some people.
But this is on the Atlas page. It's not on my page,
Oh,
which is where I've got all
I
the.
should have shared
20
it.
seconds.
20 seconds. Alrighty.
Can you share it?
All right, we're down to about 15 seconds.
Uh-oh.
Turn that off. It's off. So like that.
Oh yeah, that's good.
It's awesome music.
Welcome to Ask the Experts on Talk Radio 1190, where we talk to prominent professionals about their field of expertise, educating listeners on health, home improvement, legal, and financial topics. Ask the Experts is streaming on the iHeartRadio app on iHeart.com, and you can listen online at 1190talkradio.com. And I'm your host, Haley Thornton. Today our guest is Ben Friedman from Atlas Plumbing Company in Dallas that's actually been serving the DFW Metroplex for over 80 years. How you doing, Ben?
I'm good. Good morning.
Great to have you on. Before we talk, why don't you introduce yourself and tell the listeners a little bit about what you do and how you got involved in the plumbing company?
Sure. Atlas Plumbing is a family-run business. Opened the doors in 1932. I've been around it all my life, but when I was young, never really wanted to get into the business. Never thought it was glamorous, but in reality, it's probably one of the most successful industries from a business standpoint in the country. It's probably one of the most needed services as well worldwide. I got into it because I had a life-changing event about 6 years ago. Was living in Austin and was actually working in the mortgage business and helping people obtain financing to buy homes. Well, that market busted, and had the opportunity to come back to Dallas and work with my father.
So what was it that changed your perspective on the plumbing business? How did you end up deciding to go do working with your father?
Well, I think one was just the pure need of providing for my family, and that was really the motivating factor. I did not want to leave Austin. As you know, Austin's a great city with a lot of technology, a lot of cool places to hang out, and it's weird in general, which is kind of me. So moving back to Dallas was not tough for me. I have a lot of friends here, a lot of family, know my way around, great highway system, and that's good for business too.
Yeah, absolutely. So what did you see in the plumbing business once you did make that change that made you decide that this was the place for you?
Well, what I saw was the same concept that I've been, living by all along, which is helping people, and really enjoying helping people accomplish their goals. So whether it was in the golf industry as a teaching pro, or it was in the internet, selling whatever I sold in the internet, which was a lot of different things, and then mortgages, helping people get their home financing. Plumbing was a natural transition because I knew about the home market. I understand how realtors and that side of the business works. And plumbing is a basic thing that everybody needs, and so it was really easy to pick up on and to learn about quickly.
How did you see the difference that you were making in everyday lives of people?
Well, I guess the most basic example would be if you've got a clogged up sewer line and you flush your toilet and it doesn't work. You need somebody quickly to take care of that. And so you just basically build on that, and you start from where the city meets the house, and everything from there is the responsibility of the homeowner. So taking care of their needs when they're not sure of how to take care of something is where we really do a great job.
So how exactly are you involved in the plumbing business? What is your role?
So my role, I'm actually a licensed plumber. I have a 4-year license. It's called a journeyman license. My father, Sonny Friedman, who owns the company, has the master license, which you have to actually own a plumbing business. So he's a responsible master that all of the licensed plumbers work under. And what I do is make sure that people are taken care of. I also sit on the State Board of Plumbing Examiners, which is a governor-appointed position that just occurred a couple of months ago. And what that's done is it's allowed me to get more involved in making sure that our industry is doing things the right way, pulling permits, doing plumbing work properly, being honest with customers, how to help people file complaints if they have issues with their plumber, which seems to be running rampant out there these days.
Wow, so how do you get involved in doing that? How do you end up in that position?
I was fortunate to be a board member in our state plumbing association, the Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors Association. The state has a chapter that's part of the national chapter, which the PHCC is actually the longest running, oldest association in America.
Wow.
Which is pretty interesting. And then we have a local chapter as well. So I was president of the local chapter. I sat on the state board's chapter, and that has led me onto the state board through our relationships with the state, and the state board has. I was basically asked to interview.
That's
And
incredible. So you were just saying how you want to help people out, and this is the best way to do it.
It is. It is, and I get to work with my dad, which is really, really awesome.
That's incredible. So do you feel like it's more rewarding working with family?
It's definitely more rewarding working with family. I can honestly say I am not a corporate guy. I don't like people standing over my shoulder and telling me what to do. I've always been a pretty independent guy, and so working with my dad has given me the autonomy to make some big decisions and help out the company grow and keep things going.
So you said your dad was a master plumber?
Yeah, he's a master plumber. I'm actually taking my master license test in about 12 days.
Wow.
So I'll be a master as well. So that'll help him and relieve a little stress off of his plate and let him try to enjoy retirement.
So what goes into becoming a master plumber? This is such an interesting thing to me.
Well, to start, you have to become an apprentice, a registered apprentice with the state. And then once you're an apprentice, you can start earning hours towards your license. So the first step is to get 2,000 hours, which is about 2 years worth of work on the job, to apply for your tradesman license, which is a residential license only. If you want to wait 4 years, you can go ahead and get your journeyman's license. So that's 8,000 hours. And you go down to Austin, you take a test, you got to pass it, and you don't have to make 100, but you need to make a 70. And so that's how you get in the business. And then 1 year later, as in my case, you can apply to be a master.
Wow, that's incredible. That's quite an accomplishment.
I feel like it is because I was never in the business really, and I'm more of a business guy. I'm not much of a hands-on guy, but it's very rewarding. Let's just say that.
So how is it, you said you're not a business guy, or you're not a hands-on guy, you're more of a business guy. So how is being in the plumbing business for somebody who's more of a business person?
Well, that's a good question. Understanding business in any industry is very important. And so I feel like that with my knowledge, I can impart business strategies to other young companies that are up and coming. Maybe it's a plumber that has been working with somebody for 10, 15 years and decides he wants to go out on his own. In our plumbing association, we have open arms. And if you're a member of the association, you can call another plumbing company and simply ask them questions about their business and say, whatever the situation might be, hey, I've got a difficult customer, or hey, I'm looking to expand my business. What do you think about this marketing strategy? And so we answer those calls, and we encourage the smaller companies to take advantage of what they've got available to them in the association.
So you're helping small companies flourish and be better.
We're trying to help them as best we can, and quite frankly, you know, from the board standpoint, keep them in line, because there's a lot of shoddy work out there, and plumbers need to be held accountable for why they do what they do, as opposed to you know, necessarily pull the wool over a customer's eyes. It happens more often than not, and one of my goals for being on the board was to help enforce the shoddy work to be weeded out of the industry.
Absolutely. Well, if you want to join the conversation at any time today, you can call us at 817-787-1190 or 214-817-1190. And to contact Ben, you can call, or for more information, you can call 972-243-8051, or you can visit atlasplumbing.com. On Facebook, it's Atlas Plumbing Company, or Twitter at Atlas Plumbing Co. And coming up next, we're going to talk a little bit more to Ben, but for now, we're going to talk a little bit more with Ben, excuse me. You're listening to Ask the Experts on Talk Radio 1190. That was good.
That's good.
Sorry, I talked like, I don't know, jabbled a little bit.
That's
But other
fine.
than that, I think it's good. I
Good.
think that's good to have a conversation.
Yeah.
If you see me looking down at my phone, I'm just doing the timer.
Okay.
Okay, just so you know.
Yeah, that's fine.
So next time I was thinking about, we'll just start on the questions, or what do you want to talk about next?
We can, well, we can talk about, we can go into maybe like, you know, what is it, what do you look for? What do you want to look for when you're hiring a plumber?
Okay, sounds good.
Or what questions to ask? What questions to ask when looking for a plumber?
Sounds good.
I don't necessarily want to talk about where to find the best plumbers. I don't
Okay.
want to give away the links where there's other companies, but.
Okay.
How you doing, Ben?
I'm good.
He's
Enjoying
a radio
it?
star.
Yes, you're a
Let's see what
radio
my
star.
pulse is. 78 beats per minute. I'm doing good.
You're doing really well.
1.
1 minute.
Thank you.
Don't forget to. I'll let me know if you're going to give a shout out. I'll make sure Sophia is listening again. She was watching, but she said she stopped watching.
Oh, she did? Okay.
But just let me know in
I don't know if I'm-
advance.
Yeah, we're not gonna be, this won't be relative for shout outs, but,
Huh?
this won't be relative for shout outs, but,
Well, okay, just tell me when you're gonna do it and I'll make sure she's listening.
okay.
You can fit in a shout out.
Yeah, I want to fit in a couple of shout outs to the fam.
Shout out to the fam. Okay.
Oh, your dad texted, Mom and I say awesome.
Nice. So like you have number 15 is a good one.
Number 15?
15 and 16 are good.
Okay. We'll start with your questions before we go to these.
Okay.
Welcome back to Ask the Experts. Today we're here with Ben Friedman of Atlas Plumbing Company in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. To contact him, you can call 972-243-8051 or you can visit atlasplumbing.com. So right now we're going to make a little bit of a change. I just want to ask a couple questions about when you are looking for a plumber. What questions should you ask to make sure that you're getting the right person?
I would start with how long have you been in business? I would ask what your license number is so that you can verify that their license is current. You would do that by going to the State Board of Plumbing Examiners website. Excuse me. You could Google Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners. Another question, another reason you'd want to ask that question is to find out what they've done. If they're good at certain things, what are their specialties? Some plumbers are good at new construction, where they just are told go to a job and put the piping in. Other plumbers are good at customer service and knowing how to communicate with the customer. So I would relate this to taking a golf lesson. If you are a golfer and are in need of help with your game, and you go to a golf instructor, you would want to have a good working level of communication with them, so that when they tell you something about your game, you can understand it. If you don't understand what they're saying as they're getting too technical or whatnot, then it might not sit well, and it might alter the way you practice or whatever. So I think the same with a plumber. If they build a rapport with you and they ask you questions, I think that's the most important thing. Is if somebody is asking you questions about what you need, as opposed to you letting them tell you what needs to be done. And I say that because a lot of homeowners, go to YouTube and whatnot and look at how to do things and then think that that's how we're going to do it. And in a lot of cases, that's not the case, because there's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. And so.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick second to talk to somebody who's called in.
Great.
All right. Hi, Albert.
Hey, Albert. Good morning. Sure, that's a great question. And yeah, I know Frisco and that part of town does have a lot of calcium buildup in the water. You can consider a full house water filtration system, which literally ties into the main water service line. It can be installed, most of the time it's installed on the inside of the house in the garage area, where you've got water supply coming in. And then that's going to run directly to the heater, which then transfers water out throughout the house. It could. I can't answer that definitively, because I don't think that there's been any scientific studies done on it. I know that the water heater manufacturers do recommend draining the water heater and flushing it once a year, twice a year. I would say that the water filtration system will help with it. It may not take care of the entire problem, but it'll certainly reduce the amount of calcium and minerals that are found in the water to get into the piping system. We can absolutely install it. You can give our office a call and we can get more into the weeds about it at your convenience, and that number is 972-243-8051, and we can ask you some other questions and be able to give you a quote on it. Thank you very much for the call. We appreciate it.
If you would like to join the conversation, you can call us at 817-787-1190 or 214-817-1190. So we were just talking about when hiring a plumber, what questions to ask. So you mentioned that you ask how long that they have been in the business. How long would you want your plumber to be in the business before you use them?
I would say that you probably want somebody with at least 3 to 4 years, maybe 5 years in the industry. That would give one ample amount of time to understand the different facets of faucet parts, faucet brands, water heater brands, the ins and outs of the regulations and the code. The code is a really, really big thing. We've got to follow a local code that is amended from a national or international code. Usually the international code is what most people go off of, but there's also a universal residential code. There's several books, so it can get confusing. So as long as the plumber knows what is a code in their particular area, then I think you're in good shape.
Great. So what are some red flags to look out for?
Red flags are plumbers that don't have any legal paperwork for you to sign contracts. By state law, you have to have your invoices have to have all of your business information, as well as the state plumbing board's information, their phone number, their address, their website address. You want to look for companies that have their infrastructure set up properly. There's a lot of mom and pop operations out there that are very successful and do great, and they've set up a business model that works for them. But there's other companies out there that may not have their ducks in a row. Maybe they ask you for the entire amount of the work up front if it's, say, a remodel. That might tell you that that company is cash poor or doesn't understand how to manage their cash flow. Whereas another company may say, we want half up front and then half at completion. Or some companies may say, no need to pay us until the end. So, so those are things to look at, and I think that from the other side of the fence, the plumbing company is also responsible for qualifying the customer so that you're not wasting your time and looking at doing something for somebody that they apparently could not afford.
Are there any instances where you should pay everything up front?
If it's a basic service call, most companies are going to want payment at the time of completion of service. If it's a commercial entity, obviously they may set up a billing plan, net 30, net 60, something like that. If it's a remodel and the homeowner is working through a contractor and that contractor has subcontracted companies like plumbers or electricians, they work with you on a case-by-case basis.
Can you think of any examples of times where, having a bad plumbing company has done someone wrong?
I can think of several. One in particular, just this last week, I found out through one of our plumbers, shout out to Curtis Skinner there. He's got a friend in Arlington that worked with a local company, I won't say the name. She had a sewer pipe issue under her house. It was coming apart, and it was just really old and decrepit. It was a very old house. They wanted to charge her something around $8,000 to fix 12 feet of pipe under the house.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, that's pretty much highway robbery. She contacted us to ask if that was a fair price, and based on the work that they did, we said, no, it doesn't sound right. So we helped her look at what was going on, and consequently, she's probably going to file a complaint with the state board because she just is not getting the response from them. They've taken her money, and so you have to be very careful as to who you work with.
Absolutely. So if you find yourself in a situation where you feel like the plumbing company that you're working with is charging too much, what should you do?
I would call other plumbing companies and ask what they charge. Okay. There's a lot of reputable companies out there that are pretty much in line with each other, give or take 5 or 10%. There's other plumbing companies that are way, way below what current market rates are. If it's what's the line of thing? If it's too good to be true, it probably is. So I mean, if you're working with a plumbing company that's half of what the other reputable companies are charging, that would probably send up a red flag to me.
What are there any other examples of something that might be too good to be true, something that would end up being a bad sign?
I would say if you don't get it in writing and it's made out to be something that is doable and it seems like a big project, I would probably get it in writing.
Absolutely, that's pretty much always the best bet.
Definitely get it in writing.
So what should when using a plumbing company, so all of the plumbers must be licensed, what is the difference between a plumber and a handyman?
Pretty much the license. A handyman is typically good with their hands, has a good understanding and grasp of how things work. A plumber is actually licensed to know not just how it works, but why it works, and how it has to be installed properly to code. Handymen are not typically looking at the code book or calling the city to find out if something is installed properly. If they did that, they would open themselves up to liability with the homeowner, because a handyman cannot pull a permit for a homeowner. A homeowner can pull a permit for themselves, but then it's going to be inspected, and if it's inspected and it wasn't done by a licensed professional, then it's not going to pass inspection. So it's important to hire a licensed, registered plumber, AC guy, electrician. If they've got a license, then they're supposed to technically pull permits.
All right, well, time for a quick break. Up next, I think we'll talk more about the risks and rewards of using a plumber over a handyman. Right now, you're listening to Ask the Experts on Talk Radio 1190.
I think I need to get clarification on the phone number, because we had somebody try to call in the number I said, and it didn't work.
Say again?
Phone number. We need to get clarification on the phone number. I told
We
him
will.
214-817-1190. That didn't work.
That
We got
did-
Warren on line one. He's got questions.
Hey, can you hear me? What's the phone number? Am I giving out the right phone number? 817-787-1190?
Yeah, that worked.
Should be it.
Yeah.
It's 214-787-1190 or 817-787-1190.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is 214-787.
787, yeah, 214 or 817.
Okay, I need to make a correction then.
So I kind of got a little off topic there with the handyman. I don't want to.
You don't want to talk about handyman?
No, I do. I mean, I don't want to insult handymen.
Oh, okay.
But it's the key difference, to answer your question, is the license.
Okay.
If a handyman works on any of the plumbing and it fails,
Okay.
and it causes a flood, and the homeowner wants to sue for damages, they'll have no recourse.
Okay, so I was thinking about asking, what are the consequences for a handyman that does plumbing in your home and it fails? Can we start with that?
We could do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we could definitely do that.
Okay, all right, just want to make sure.
Yeah.
This is great. This
You
is
like
way
it?
more fun than.
So we have a caller.
Oh yeah, we'll start with the call.
Oh, we have a caller? Cool. Cool, our second call.
Yay!
It's not Sophia Shingawale?
No, it's not.
Okay, that's my daughter. She
Shout
called.
out.
Yeah, she called in the first time around. I think I told you.
Nice.
Well, the phones weren't working, and she called in saying that she had a seaweed smell in her kitchen sink.
Oh, so nice. Okay, good. I'll intro this and then we'll.
That was a good call about water softeners.
Yes,
we could dig into the weeds a little bit about water heaters and
Water heaters. Okay.
how to know if a water heater is going bad.
Okay, then.
Like, what are the signs of your water heater going bad, kind of thing?
When do I know when to replace my water heater?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
That'd be a good one. I like the music.
Welcome back to Ask the Experts on Talk Radio 1190, where we talk to prominent professionals about their field of expertise, educating listeners on health, home improvement, legal, and financial topics. Today we're here with Ben Friedman of Atlas Plumbing Company in Dallas, and it sounds like we have a caller that wants to ask him a question.
Warren, thanks for your question. I think this is an issue that a lot of people have. First of all, the Drano products are absolutely not good for your plumbing system. They create a layer of film inside the pipe that coagulates with whatever else is in there, and I will leave it at that. What you want to consider is having a plumber come out and snake the pipe, and they can use they call it a sink machine. It's a heavy-duty piece of equipment that's got 50 feet of cable on it, and what it'll do is it'll not only clear that blockage, but it will push it all the way down the main line and into the city tap. So that would be a long-term solution. Now there are some biodegradable products on the market. One that we offer, it's called BioClean, and BioClean is a bacterial material that basically eats away at all of the gunk inside the pipe and cleans the pipe. There's some specific directions on how to use it, but it's actually a very, very good product. We've had good results with it. I have never seen that before, Warren. Thank you for the call, Warren. Have a great holiday.
If you'd like to join the conversation, you can call us at 817-787-1190 or 214-787-1190. If you have a question for Ben, I want to talk about water heaters. When do you know when to replace them?
That's a good question. Water heaters, they kind of have a mind of themselves, but they will communicate with you. It's not verbal, it's nonverbal, obviously. When you start seeing rusty brown water in your pipes, not your pipes, but coming out of your fixtures, flakes of rust, brown specks of dirt, that sort of look, you're going to know that your water heater is about ready to fail. So I recommend that everybody look at their water heater maybe once a month, maybe put it on your calendar. I know if it's in the attic, it's hot up there this time of year, but it's important to go take a look at it. Things to look for that may be causing your water heater to fail would be the intake pipes that go into the water heater. They tend to corrode around the connections. That is a sign that your water heater is getting old. The water is not great, but it's getting into the water heater. It's going to eat away at the lining. If your pilot starts going out and you start noticing lukewarm water, there's a chance that something is wrong with that assembly inside the unit, and or water may be coming out of the bottom of the unit, because the burner, it burns steel inside the unit. And as that steel begins to be eaten away from the inside with the minerals in the water, it creates pinhole leaks, and that water can drop down onto the pilot and it will burn out the flame. So that's something to look at. The other thing to look at is if you've got water or moisture around the bottom of the water heater in a drain pan. So if you look in the drain pan and there's some moisture, or you might see some dripping off the side of the heater, that tells you that you need a new heater as well. So the key is to just be proactive and to look. You just need to be proactive. People say that draining and flushing the water heater is good. That's what the manufacturer says. We don't make service calls to drain people's heaters per se. I usually tell them over the phone how to do that themselves to save them a little bit of money.
Is it fairly easy to do?
Yeah, it's fairly easy, and without going into details, if anybody wants to call the office at 972-243-8051, we'll tell you how to do it. And if you have trouble, that will clean the inside of the unit itself. So that's what I would say do, is just be alert of what's going on with the heater, and if it's out of warranty or if it's plus 10 years old, definitely keep an eye on it.
Sometimes I'll notice with my water heater that sometimes the hot water will last longer, and sometimes it seems like it's only there for 5 minutes. Is there a reason for that?
Well, the reason could be that that it is on its last leg.
Mm-hmm.
The water is not being heated properly from the burner. The insides of the water heater are not moving the water properly through the cycling action that is actually created inside the unit. If anybody wants to really get into the weeds on this, you can go to any manufacturer's website, and there will be all sorts of details on there. But yeah, lukewarm water is a sign that something is going wrong.
So what if your water heater is making like loud rumbling noises and stuff like that? What does that mean?
That means it's about ready to go.
Oh, man.
So yeah, if your water heater is starting to gurgle and it's getting lukewarm, that's a sure sign that something's happening inside. Maybe we can't see it from the outside, but it's a pretty good sign that something's about ready to go down.
Is a plumber the only person that can fix and install a water heater?
No, not necessarily, but the city that you're installing it in is probably going to require a permit and an inspection, which would in effect exclude a handyman. You want a licensed plumber to be dealing with anything that's touching your water or your drain. Period. End of story.
Can you think of any situations where maybe you've gone to a house or somebody you know has and they have waited way too long to get their water heater replaced?
Yeah, there's several stories out there like that, but most people are, if they're in the need for a water heater now, what we typically find is when somebody calls and they need something, they're going to make a couple of calls, which is fine.
Absolutely.
To find out what the cost is, when the availability is, and these are the questions that come up when we get those calls is, what do you charge for a water heater? And if the plumber just turns right around and says, oh, we're $1,500 for a water heater, I would probably stop and say, what does that include? If the plumber stops and asks you questions, say, oh, let me ask you, before I quote you, I need to find out some things that have to do with code. Where's the water heater located in the house? Do you have this and do you have that? Those are the questions that you want to hear the plumber ask you so that they can properly quote you over the phone. I've seen way too many times where somebody's advertising a $999 install water heater. Well, what you don't know is that that's the base price. Once they get there, all of the add-ons start happening, and before you know it, that inexpensive water heater installer is probably going to be the same price as a reputable company. So,
Absolutely.
but to answer your question, I'm sorry I kind of got off track there. To answer your question, you can pretty much get a water heater installed same day or next day.
Absolutely. So what are my options if, say, I had a situation where it just didn't go right? You ended up using the wrong plumbing company or somebody who wasn't licensed. What are my options if I file a complaint with the proper licensing agency if my plumber doesn't perform his correct duties?
A good question. That would be the State Board of Plumbing Examiners. And you go to their website and there's a link for filing a complaint. There's a process that you have to follow. Mind you, this is a state entity, so things don't move very quickly, but things do move swiftly through the system once they're in the system. There's an enforcement department that will investigate, but what they need from the homeowner is a blow by blow, so to speak, chronological timeline of what's taken place, any documented information, any contracts that were signed, any communication by email or text. Anything that you can put together to give the agency to investigate is important, because they're not only going to investigate your side, but they're also going to investigate the plumbing company's side too. And by law, the plumbing company will be notified that you filed a complaint. So everybody is on the same page. Somebody who's going to file a complaint just needs to be patient and let the system do its job. And believe me, the state is very interested in cracking down on those individuals that are not performing with a license. They're interested in enforcing those that do have licenses to perform quality work. We do have a minimum standard in the plumbing industry per code. That doesn't mean that a plumber can't go above and beyond what the minimums are. The customer just going to end up paying a little bit more if they want the Cadillac versus the Chevrolet, so to speak. But the plumber needs to be held accountable to their actions. So pulling permits, documenting things, sign contracts, all of the things that you would see in most other industry apply to our industry as well for a homeowner.
Of course. Are you involved in that process?
Which process? The complaints process?
Yeah.
As a board member, I see the complaints that are coming up on our agenda. We have quarterly meetings down in Austin, and in fact, the next quarterly meeting is on July 11th, which is next Monday. And yeah, I mean, we have a docket, and the docket has what we're going to talk about, what we're going to vote on, and who's done what and why, and the individual has a chance to come up in front of the board and plead their case. And at that point, if it's already not been decided what's going to happen, then we make a decision on the spot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's get a little bit into some questions people might ask. So what if you smell sewage in your bathroom? I feel like this is a very common problem.
Very common.
What do you do?
Well, the first thing you do is flush a toilet and see if see if it's going to stop up or not. A sewage smell could be a number of different things. It could be coming out of the tub drain or a shower drain where maybe that bathroom hasn't been used in a long time, and there's some plumbing up underneath the floor that can dry out, and as it dries out, methane gas can escape from the drain as opposed to going up through the roof through what they call a vent stack. And a vent stack is simply the pipe that you see on the top of your roof above plumbing in most cases. Some vent stacks are 3 inches, some vent stacks are 2 inches in diameter. And that tells me as a plumber what the best way is to access the plumbing inside the house. It's typically through those stacks.
Absolutely.
So if you smell gas, sewer gas, it may be that the toilet is stopped up. It may be that the toilet is stopped up and is coming up into the shower and you just don't see it yet. It could be a dried out line. It could be it could be a dead animal under your house. Believe it or not, dead varmints, rats, and whatnot can start smelling like methane gas as they decompose.
Have you seen that a lot?
We have plumbers that have seen that, yes.
Oh my God.
I have not seen a dead animal, particularly under a house that I've gone in. I've seen one in my house. When I lived in Austin, I saw several dead animals, but not up here yet.
Can you think of any other like extreme circumstances, things people wouldn't expect in the plumbing world, like a particular instance that shocked you?
In relation to a particular call or just something in general?
Either is fine, just something in general.
I would say the plumbing world is becoming very technologically inclined.
Huh.
More and more computer software apps are being used in our industry for everything from on the business side to dispatching and accounting and payroll, to the consumer side, which is booking appointments online, paying your bill right there at the point of sale through an app on an iPad or your phone, to plumbers having as much information at their fingertips as possible when they're in the house. And so I've done this several times when I've been in a house with a customer and there's a leaky faucet and they say, well, I want to replace the faucet, and they want something similar. We can just get online and take a look at it really quick and then go, oh yeah, I'll go ahead and order that. But there's other technology that's come into play, for example, with leak detection. One of our mainstays is leak detection, water leaks and drain leaks under slab foundations. There's really, really sophisticated technology out there that's very expensive that we can use to determine where those leaks are. On the drain side, we have cameras that we can run down into the line and make a videotape of for the customer and show them exactly where a break is or where the problem is or why you're not getting proper flow through the lines and why they're getting stopped up. So that can come in handy when you file an insurance claim. If the insurance company is in a position to pay for the repair or the replacement, then they'll want to see that. So that's a good example of technology in our industry.
So it's easier than ever to see exactly what's causing the problem in your home.
It is, and that's a good little segue into another question that somebody should ask a plumbing company is, do you have the technology to solve my problem? And if they say they do, then make sure they know how to work it.
What is the minimum technology that they need to have when you ask that question?
When it comes to sewer lines, probably the camera. When it comes to leak detection, they probably need to have, I can't think of the brand off the top of my head, but they need to have some of the latest technology for determining leaks, not taking 2 copper pipes and walking out into the yard and watching to see which way they turn. That's an old-timey way of doing things.
Absolutely. So I just need to ask this question because I feel like everybody would wonder, what happens if your water bill...
Find once you know what you're doing and where to go. Sometimes you hit it, sometimes you miss it, but a lot of times if you just follow the steps properly, and that's why a licensed plumber is important over a handyman, is that licensed plumbers are trained. They're constantly trained. A handyman may have been a plumber, may have been an electrician, but usually it's going to YouTube to find something else.
Well, it's time for a quick break. Up next, we're going to talk a little bit more with Ben Friedman. You're listening to Ask the Experts on Talk Radio 1190.
Do you still need to get into the laptop? I got the password.
Password for what?
Your laptop, if you still need to get in.
I don't.
Okay. How are we doing?
Good.
We're good. I'm surprised that lady hadn't called yet.
Sorry, what were you saying?
There's a confusion with the phone number.
That
About
we,
what?
we went over a little bit. Okay,
She's,
sorry.
she's on her
Is
way
this
to
the
an
last-
open
is
house,
this-
but she
This
will
is,
try.
You're about to go into your last
The
main
phone number, we had a little
Oh,
mix
last
up with the
main
phone
segment.
number,
There'll
and
be a
so
1
I
minute
had
break, and then
posted the wrong
outro.
one, but I
Okay.
saw that she texted in. And so I replied to the text to give the right
Oh,
phone number.
okay.
And so
This has been good so far.
I
it's
think
been
so,
great.
too.
Yeah.
Any idea what you want to talk about next?
Well, we're in the last section, so
Yeah, our last little bit.
Warren, that was her brother.
What about why do plumbers charge time and materials?
We could
Versus
do that
what?
versus flat rate.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Anything about money? I feel like people want to know.
Yeah, okay. You can say, how do plumbers typically charge?
Okay.
So you just say what, yeah. Probably the most important thing people want to know is how you charge. So
Cool.
we save the best for last.
Yay. Sounds good. Hopefully we get a call.
Hopefully.
Sounds like we will. Okay. Do you care if I ask, why would a plumber do bathroom remodeling? Why not use a contractor?
Well, a plumber is a contractor, can be a
Okay.
contractor, yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, a general contractor could hire a plumber as a
Oh,
subcontractor,
okay.
but we could be, and we can be the general contractor for the plumbing.
Okay.
And then hire the tile work and all that other stuff.
You can talk about why pull a permit, like the handyman wants to just, he can quote you cheap without doing a permit, right?
I think I've bashed handymen pretty good on
Oh,
the show.
okay. Well, I understand. The permit thing comes up a lot, though.
Welcome back to Ask the Experts. Today we're here with Ben Friedman of Atlas Plumbing Company in Dallas. To contact him, you can call 972-243-8051 or you can visit atlasplumbing.com. Ask the Experts is streaming on the iHeartRadio app on iHeart.com and you can listen online at 1190talkradio.com. So, I have a question about how you charge. How do plumbers typically charge? What are you looking out for?
Well, there's typically two ways that plumbers charge. There is the time and materials method, whereby what you see is pretty much what you get. It's easy to break down the materials and the labor and the tax and the service call, and the number's right there. A flat rate company is going to give you just a flat rate. Replace your disposer, $300. If it takes 10 minutes or if it takes 3 hours, it's going to be $300. There's reasons why companies do it differently. I think a lot of companies feel like they can make up for the jobs that are quicker or jobs that take longer on a flat rate because you may be in and out of a place in 30 minutes to an hour. And on the same job, you may be out of there in 3 hours because you had complications. And so you may make more money on the smaller job than you do on the larger job, so it technically evens out over time. With the time and materials, we've found that customers just want to have all of the information, and it's really hard for a company that does flat rate pricing to break it out line by line based on their particular business model. I can say that we have some services that are technically flat rate. For example, a water heater installation or a toilet replacement, and then there's caveats with that in terms of what do you find when you pull the toilet off the floor. If you're installing a water heater but it's two flights up and you need an extra guy for 2 hours, there's going to be an extra charge for that. So you can play with the numbers any way that you want, but the bottom line is as long as you're fair and you're competitive in the market, it shouldn't really matter how you charge. But the customer, I think, needs to know how you charge.
So for a customer who is using a plumbing company, not sure if they can trust the company or not, is there a certain rate that would be the median for that time that people are spending there?
That's a good question. I mean, I know what we charge,
Okay.
and I know what some other companies, on our level charge. And I know what kind of the one-man operation charges, which is typically substantially less.
Oh, okay.
For example, for a plumber, I'm $168 an hour. Plumber and a helper, I'm $252 an hour. That would be very consistent with other reputable companies that you would find in the industry. Some of them advertise on the radio and TV today. A one-man shop may charge $90 to $120 an hour because his overhead is less. He may not have the infrastructure like we do with 5 trucks and a dispatch and a bookkeeper and apprentices and stuff. Whereas a one-man truck may be the business owner and the plumber, and his wife is at home doing the books and answering the phones. So he can get away with charging less. That doesn't mean he's going to do less quality work. It just means that he's comfortable where he is. Now the question becomes, okay, now you've gone with an inexpensive plumber. Well, let's say something happens. How fast is he going to be able to get back to you? He's probably already got 30 calls set up from here to next Sunday every day, so to speak, to take care of those customers. So it's going to be hard for him to come back. Whereas a company that's got several trucks like ours or other companies have a pretty easy time getting back in a timely fashion should there be a problem.
Is there any instances where it would be more beneficial for you to use the one-man shop versus somebody like a man and an assistant?
Sure. If it's a basic fixture repair or it's something that really just requires one man, sure, feel free to use whoever you want. Like I said before, everybody that's licensed should be knowledgeable about just about anything in the industry and can handle it. The question becomes, what's the service after the sale? It is just like any industry. Our company is relationship motivated as opposed to transactionally motivated. Similar to what I did in the mortgage business. My job was to make sure that my realtors and my customers were taken care of. Doing a one-off transaction and then being done, I just don't think that's the way it's done.
Well, let's just take a second. We have a caller on the line who wants to ask you a question. Hi, Janet.
Hi, Janet.
You're on air.
Good question, Janet. Well, the permit basically assures that he has done what he's supposed to do from a code standpoint, the minimum standards, as I mentioned before, that he has followed those minimum standards and that your plumbing will technically not fail. It also gives you recourse should something go wrong. You've got a permit from the city that shows that they've inspected it and that it passed their criteria from a code standpoint. Permits are not all that expensive, maybe averaging $100 across the board, depending on the city that you're in. And the plumber shouldn't be making any money off of that charge. That should just be a pass along to him. We certainly don't make a profit on pulling permits, but I think permitting is important. That way you know that it's been installed correctly. You have recourse should something go wrong. And if you didn't pull the permit and you did want to file a complaint against that individual, then it's going to be your word against his. And so the board doesn't really look favorably on that. You really want to just follow the steps and follow. It's the right thing to do, basically. Yes, they do. Once they pull a permit, then the permit is typically scheduled with you through the plumbing company, and then the plumbing company interfaces with the city or the county or the jurisdiction in that area to come out and inspect the work. Thank you, Janet. You're welcome. Have a great holiday.
Thanks for calling. Well, it's time for a quick break. Up next, we're going to talk a little bit more with Ben Friedman, but for now, you're listening to Ask the Experts on Talk Radio 1190.
All right, so we're almost done, right?
Yep.
So you got to get your shout outs in after this, baby. We got people clamoring.
This isn't one of my songs.
People clamoring for shout outs.
No,
I'm sorry.
that wasn't one of my songs.
So we got 1 minute, and then fill up as close as you can to 59:50.
Okay. Okay, so you can throw in your shout out whenever I ask you where you can, where they can call you.
Okay.
Sound good?
Okay. I will.
And Sophia says hi.
And
Hi,
you can
Sophia.
take- And you can take your time. He said to fill out at least for a minute, so.
So what are we looking at? Are we looking at the orange one, or are we looking at the?
The orange one.
Okay, so that's going to go to.
Yeah, and I'll have my thing working or whatever, so I can hold it up for you if you want me to, the stopwatch.
Okay. So what we're counting down to what?
1 minute. 1 minute, right?
Sophia just heard your shout.
15 seconds.
So we have 1 minute when we come back
Yes.
in. Okay.
Make sure you shout out to Lauren too.
Okay. Like that music.
You've been listening to Ask the Experts on Talk Radio 1190, where we talk to prominent professionals about their field of expertise, educating listeners on health, home improvement, legal, and financial topics. This is about all the time we have for today. Thanks to Ben Friedman for joining us. Why don't you tell the listeners once again where they can reach you?
Thanks, Haley. Atlas Plumbing Company in Dallas, Texas, 972-243-8051. Our email address is service@atlasplumbing.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and on the web. And while I've got a couple of quick seconds here, I want to just thank everybody for tuning in. And I want to give a big shout out to Sophia, Ethan, Lauren, Sonny, Carolyn, Lola, Nilla, and Coco.
I'll be here again next week, same time, same place, different topic. But until then, I'm Haley Thornton, and this is Ask the Experts.
I forgot, baby. I got nervous.
How do you think it went?
I think it went great until the very end.